Westeros got absolutely wrecked by Robert's rebellion. But what happened? How were the Targaryens taken down by a ragtag group of, thousands of noblemen? Well, allow me to tell you by retelling you the events of Robert's rebellion entirely from my memory in what's sure to be an unhinged rant. Hey! Am I laying down while I record this? Yes, this is the vibe for this evening. Also, don't forget this. This is a thing, because, things are happening. Okay, so we gotta start with the Tourney of Harrenhal. Tourney of Harrenhal is a tourney where Rhaegar was trying to do some scheming behind Aerys, the Mad King's back, but, it kind of backfired, because the Mad King was like, oh, you doing some scheming behind my back? Well, I need to know about the scheming, so I'm gonna go to the tourney. So Rhaegar didn't get to do his scheming for real, because, the Mad King was right there. But while he was there was a mystery knight who was basically probably Lyanna Stark. And so Lyanna Stark, as a mystery knight, kicked a bunch of people's asses because they were being dicks to Howland Reed, Howland Reed, International Man of Mystery. But anyway, so the Knight of the Laughing Tree, who was the mystery knight, who's probably Lyanna Stark, she kicks some knights' asses, and then Aerys, being all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, is like, I think the Laughing Tree Knight is making fun of me. I think he's laughing at me because there's a laughing tree on his shield, so he's laughing at me because I'm crazy. And Aerys turns to Rhaegar, who's like, God, I just wanted to, scheme behind your back. But Aerys goes, Rhaegar, I need you to go find him. And Rhaegar's like, fine, I'll go fucking find him. But then he comes back, he's like, I didn't find him. But, he probably did find him and was like, oh, you're Lyanna, you're kind of cool. Then the tourney ends and, nothing much happens. And then a year later, Lyanna Stark is traveling south for some reason, probably to marry Robert, because she's engaged to Robert, because, it's an important plot point. And it is near Harrenhal, once again, that she runs into Rhaegar, except Rhaegar this time has got his boys with him, some of the Kingsguard, like Arthur Dayne, who's a Sword of the Morning, he's very cool. And Rhaegar is like, hey, well, we don't actually know what Rhaegar said, but the assumptions are either that Rhaegar is like, hey, you want to be kidnapped? Or that maybe they were like, hey, you want to go, disappear together and totally not make this look like a kidnapping? Well, it looked like a kidnapping, which caused some problems. Because Lyanna had an older brother. Well, she had two older brothers, because there was Ned Stark, and then the oldest brother, who was supposed to be the Lord of Winterfell, was Brandon Stark. Now, Brandon Stark is not like Ned. Ned is, chill and quiet and whatever. But Brandon Stark, he's crazy. He's got the wolf blood in him. Because everyone thinks of Starks as, these chill, noble people, but really, they're crazy half the time. They got the wolf blood, and they're like, I'm a Stark, I'm gonna kill things. And Brandon's like that. So Brandon was like, oh my god, my sister got kidnapped by that blonde little bitch over there. I can't stand for this. So you know what? I'm gonna fix it. How am I gonna fix it? Well, I'm gonna get a group of my boys, because we can handle anything. And we're gonna march down to King's Landing, to the castle, filled with thousands and thousands of city guard and soldiers, and headed up by a mad, crazy king who likes to burn people. And we're gonna go there, and our posse is gonna be like, yo, Rhaegar, come out here, and we're gonna beat the shit out of you. I'm gonna get my sister back. And everyone's gonna be cool with that. So yeah, great plan, Brandon's plan was not great. So Brandon gets to King's Landing, gets to the Red Keep, and is like, hey, Rhaegar, come out here, I'm gonna beat your ass. And Aerys is like, are you threatening the Crown King? I haven't burned someone in a while. Well, what a fortuitous situation we have here. And so he captures Brandon and his friends, because weirdly enough, their little pack of 8 or whatever wasn't enough to, take King's Landing. So they get thrown in some dungeons, and Aerys calls their pappy to come down here, the Lord Stark. I think it's Rickard. So Rickard Stark comes down to King's Landing, because Aerys is like, you gotta, explain what your son's doing down here. He's trying to kill Rhaegar, who's very important. Never mind that Aerys doesn't like Rhaegar at this point because he's paranoid and kooky, but whatever. But anyway, so Aerys is like, hey, Rickard, you're here. Cool, that was some good travel you did there. How about, you just die? And there was a contraption or whatever, where basically Rickard, I think, said that he wanted a trial by combat, and Aerys is like, ooh, I'll grant the trial by combat, but I get to pick my champion, and I choose for my champion fire! Because Aerys just pulls shit like that. But then while the fire is fighting Rickard, and Rickard is losing, Brandon has been jerry-rigged up with this thing, where basically Rickard is being suspended over the fire, and then the other end of the rope is tied around Brandon, and so Brandon, if he struggles to pull to save his dad and lift him, he's slowly it was bad, and they both die. It was very sad. But Aerys the Mad King is not done. He's like, hey, I need you to send me, he's talking to Jon Arryn, who's in the Vale. So the Vale of Arryn is the blue one right under me. Because Jon Arryn was basically like the foster dad of Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon. So they had both been sent to ward in the Vale. Ned Stark because he's like the second son, so he's not needed. And then Robert because I think he's like parentless or whatever. Anyway, Aerys is like, hey, Jon Arryn, I need you to send me the 2 boys. They gotta die. Because Robert was, Lyanna's intended, and Rhaegar has taken her, so he's like, oh, fuck, you should die too. And then Ned Stark, hey, your dad and your brother, I killed them, I want to kill you too. There's, like, a better reason, but, like, this is what I remember. And Jon Arryn is like, I'm not gonna send the 2 boys that I've just, spent, like, 10 years raising down for you to just kill them. Fuck you, man. I declare rebellion. And then everyone's like, ooh, rebellion. And this is where my memory gets a little fuzzy. So basically, at this point, you have Jon Arryn, who's in charge of the Vale. You have Ned, who's the new Lord of Winterfell, whoopsie. And then you have Robert, who's the Lord of Storm's End. So they all, do, like, a, hey, break! And then they all go to their own, like, region to, like, raise their banners. But then there's, like, some issues, because not all their banners, like, want to be raised, because they're like, hey, like, the king is still the king. And Jon Arryn and Robert Baratheon's like, yeah, but I'm in charge of you, too, so you gotta listen to me. They don't all listen to them. So they each have to, like, battle. I don't remember what the names of the battles, but they each have to, like, battle, like, some of their people and be like, hey, fucking listen to me, man. And this is where Robert shows, like, some actual decent leadership qualities, because he keeps, like, beating some of his men in combat, and then instead of punishing them, he's like, hey, but I'm your guy, right? You like me? And they're like, yeah, we're your guys. Thank you for not killing me. And then, like, that's how he wins people over. Now, Aerys starts panicking at this point because he's like, fuck, they're, like, winning shit. God damn it. So he sacks one of his hands. He goes through a bunch of hands, like Hands of the King. And he hires Jon Connington, who had been Rhaegar's friend. By the way, Rhaegar has been, like, missing this entire fucking time. He grabbed Lyanna, he ran, and we don't see him. Meanwhile, war has broken out. But anyway, so he puts Jon Connington, Rhaegar's bestie, as Hand of the King and says, hey, go win this war for me. So after one of the battles, Robert's been injured a bit, and he goes and hides in the Stony Sept, and Jon Connington's like, that's where he is, I'm gonna get him. So he leads the army there, but the Stony Sept, like the village or whatever, all the people in the town, they like Robert, and they're like, hey, we're gonna help you. So all the villagers keep, like, hiding him and moving him around while they're, like, searching the village trying to find him. And this gives Ned and the Tullys time to get there and do a whole big battle. And during the battle, the Stony Sept keeps ringing the bells to, like, tell people to, like, run and shit. And so the whole battle, there's these bells ringing and ringing and ringing, which has emotionally traumatized Jon Connington. That's going to be important later when, bells ring in King's Landing and, something's probably going to blow up. But anyway, after this, everyone kind of splits again. And then Jon Arryn and Ned Stark, they go to River Run, they marry the Tully sisters, because we're all in this together, man. And then everyone converges on the Trident. The Trident is in the Riverlands, and we have to do battle in the Riverlands because that's what people do. And it's there that Rhaegar Targaryen reappears like, hey, yeah, I'll help with the fight, but it doesn't work very well. Because lunatic Robert Baratheon with his giant fucking warhammer come in, and they fight. Rhaegar injures Robert, but then Robert, like, does a whole smashy, and Rhaegar, But because Robert actually, like, was injured by Rhaegar, he can't go on to King's Landing, and so Ned goes to King's Landing. But oh no, the Lannisters have also gone to King's Landing because they're like, hey, we want to be main characters too. And the Lannisters get to the door of King's Landing, and then there's some arguments going on. Because Maester Pycelle is like, yeah, let him in, it'll be fine. Tywin's your friend, Aerys, everything's fine. And Varys is like, hey, dude, do not let them in, they're going to kill you, please, I'm begging you. Now Aerys is like, I do what I want, so he lets them in, and the Lannisters like, hey, what if we sack the city? Horrifying. So they do some war crimes, they unalive all of the Targaryen royals, Jaime does his whole stabby, and then sits on the Iron Throne, just in time for Ned to get to the throne. Ned does not approve of this, and he's pissy. Robert finally gets there, and he doesn't care that, the Targaryen children were unalived, so he's cool with fucking Tywin, but Ned is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You people are monsters. So Ned is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go down south, I'm gonna help lift the siege on Storm's End, because Stannis is still, like, dying in a siege down there. He has been for, like, a year. And that's also when, like, he finds Lyanna in the Tower of Joy. We don't know quite what happens. There's that fight with Arthur Dayne, and then that's the end. And that's Robert's Rebellion. Okay, good night.